Let's dive deeper into the antagonist and how to determine who your antagonist is. Hi, I'm Hanania Leclerc. I am a multi-genre writer who shares tips and tricks and talks about her life. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. So the antagonist of your story is usually the person that is trying to mess with your main character, like your protagonist. The person that's trying to mess with your hero is trying to prevent them from reaching their goal, and that is kind of standing direct opposite of your hero. They might not have the same values, they will probably have different goals in life than your protagonist does, and this person is going to really kind of mess with the protagonist and prevent them from reaching their goal. I do say person, but an antagonist doesn't necessarily always have to be a person. It's just the easiest way to refer to this. But the antagonist can also be, for example, internal. If your character is struggling with themselves, then this can be an internal antagonist. They can be fighting against themselves and not necessarily a person. If your story is, for example, more so focused on something like a disease, if, for example, your character is struggling with cancer as an example, then cancer might be the antagonist. It might be what is messing with your hero and your protagonist. So if your hero, for example, is trying to get better and that is like their goal, and fighting off the disease and trying to enjoy life the way that they can, but struggling to fight this disease, then the disease might be the antagonist. So it doesn't always have to be a person. It is just kind of the most common way of really having someone mess with the protagonist. So even though the antagonist might not always be a person, it is kind of almost recommended that you do insert a person that can also serve as an antagonist. Maybe they're not the main antagonist, or maybe they are a secondary antagonist of sorts, and that person can also serve as kind of someone who's trying to mess with the character. This can also be, if we're going back to battling cancer, for example, it can be someone that wants to prevent the character from leaving the hospital and trying to live a glimpse of a life and trying to kind of have a little bit of a moment to enjoy the life that they might have left. There can be like someone that might, with the best intentions at heart, trying to prevent this person to leave the hospital because they want to protect them, right? They want to make sure that they are not gonna pass out when they're outside because they're sick. So it can be also a person that is kind of secondary to what they're fighting. But having a person as an antagonist is usually the clearest way of having an antagonist. Having kind of external factors or internal factors be the antagonist and the main thing that's trying to mess with your character is usually a bit harder to really kind of materialize for the readers. But if you do it well, then it can definitely work. For me personally, my antagonist is going to be a person, is going to be the person that my female character is going to meet along the way, and this is a person that my male character and his family already knows and knows that this is a bad person. So we're kind of finding out this is a bad person along the way. Like, my female protagonist character is not going to know that this person is a bad guy, but we're going to find out kind of along the way that this person is not necessarily a good person. We're going to find out what his intentions are for the female character and how that is not a good thing. So that is kind of someone who's trying to get in the way of what the protagonist and the love interest want, right? They want to be together. And another kind of, in a way, antagonist is going to be someone in the family of my male character, because that is someone who sends away my female protagonist. So that is also going to be someone who is standing in the way of these two people being together, because in the end I do kind of want romantic things in here. So I want these two people to end up together in the end, and I need them to kind of have different external factors that are going to get into what their relationship and why they can't be together. So at the start, we're gonna have a character in their family that's really gonna prevent them from being together, and then later on we're also meeting someone that might not really be as nice as they seem. So we also have that as an extra kind of antagonist, and I feel like that is going to be the main one standing in the way of that. and I feel like the family is gonna come around at some point, you know? They're gonna be supportive of the relationship, even if they aren't at the start. But the other guy is really going to be the person that's going to try and get what he wants, and that is definitely the polar opposite of what my antagonist and their love interest want. So if you are struggling to determine who your antagonist is, think about kind of the person that's trying to mess with your story. Someone that's trying to mess up the goal of your protagonist, who's going to prevent this goal to be reached, who's going to stand in the way of this person. If you, for example, have a journey that you're going on, who is going to be the people that stand in the way, that are going to fight the characters, that are really going to try and do as much as they can for the hero and the protagonist and their group of people to not reach their goal. So if they're going on a journey, what is going to stand in the way of them reaching the journey? It can be like non-people related stuff, so like the weather or like a disease or like stuff like that, but it can also be a person that comes in and is going to fight these people and is really going to say, you're not getting to the goal because I don't want you to, because I have different plans, and we're not gonna let you get to your end goal because that doesn't align with my end goal. So I hope that this has helped you determine who your antagonist is and who is trying to mess with your protagonist the most. And I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If so, then please consider subscribing and following along in this series. The next installment of this series is going to be linked right here so you can continue watching.